Hey guys, this is Tyler with The Sharpshooter, helping you learn valuable skills to make better videos. Today we're talking about the Sony ZV-1. The Sony ZV-1 was released in June 2020. Now for years, Sony's been aiming to make cameras for consumers, but this one was really aimed for the blogger, and I think they nailed it. Okay, so we're going to talk about what I like about this camera. First is the price point. It's right around $800, which I think is a good starting price for a camera of this quality. So you're getting a camera that shoots 4K video, has a flip out screen, has a totally capable built-in lens. We're gonna run down the specs of this camera. We've got a 1-inch CMOS sensor, 20 megapixels that can shoot 4K. Filmmakers, you're gonna like this one. You do have H-log and S-log gamma profiles. So the lens, it's a 24 to 70 millimeter equivalent with an f-stop range of 1.8 to 2.8 depending on your focal length. You do have a dedicated microphone jack in Sony's multi-interface hot shoe. So if you've got a Sony flash, it should be compatible with this camera. The front of the camera does have a tally light, so you know if you're actually recording or not. Okay, so if you're a video snob, you're gonna like this. The HDMI port does have an output for uncompressed 4K video at 422. And the camera records in Sony's XAVC codec, so that means you can have a 100 meg bit rate. It also includes the more traditional AVC HD format if you need to save space on your memory cards. So you can shoot at 120 frames per second, only in HD, not 4K. And you can also put it in a special high frame rate profile that can shoot up to 960 frames per second. This is kind of crazy. I did some test footage that you'll see on a highway near my house where the speed limit is about 55 or 60 miles per hour. Okay, you do have an interval mode for shooting time lapses. The camera does have a mechanical and electronic shutter. So the Sony ZV-1 has a removable battery, which is good because I'll admit the battery life on this camera, at least while shooting in 4K, is not very good. The auto settings on this camera are phenomenal. They're the best that I've seen on any camera, especially in this price point. I did some test footage in auto and I was completely blown away. So I've got the autofocus, it's focusing on this eye, I can see from the viewfinder. I do have the wind muff on the microphone just to help with sound. Just getting a test of the autofocus and the sound as I'm using just the onboard camera mic. It seems to be pretty smooth. I don't see the focus ever losing, even when I'm doing something like this where the background's rapidly changing, or if I'm pulling the camera. It did switch eyes that time, but as I'm pulling the camera closer and farther away from my face, it's tracking me pretty well in my opinion. It focuses on your eyes. You know, there's a lot of contrast between the whites in your eyes and your pupil and the iris. So just whatever Sony is doing with their autofocus technology, it definitely works, and the ZV-1 is the perfect example for that. So one cool thing that I think a lot of beginners are going to like about this camera is that it has just one simple button on the top that is the background defocus button. All you have to do is push this one little button and your background is going to go soft. This is going to be something that really helps sell this camera. So a lot of bloggers understand that look. They know that they like it, but they don't know what to do to set their camera up for that. So the fact that you can just hit one button to turn it on and off, it's pretty amazing, really. Okay, now we're in the defocus background mode. I mean, that really achieves the narrow depth of field using this mode. So that's pretty impressive. Just walking around my backyard here. This is the onboard mic, and I do have the wind muff over it just to help cut some of the wind noise out. Okay, now what we're looking at is the clear background mode. I have turned off the defocus, so you can see it's a little bit sharper. You can definitely see the detail coming out in the brick and siding on the backs of these houses here. Another thing that I really like about the camera is its size and form factor. So it's designed like a traditional point-and-shoot camera. And that, paired with the the exceptional auto settings and capabilities on this camera, you know, it means that I would feel comfortable handing this camera to a kid or my parents that, you know, aren't photographers, or a professional and send them out to shoot, and I feel like they would all come back with some really good footage or some really good pictures. Okay, this is really gonna help sell the camera too. There is no time limit on recording video. It's not like my Canon SL1 that has a 30-minute limit. According to recordinglimits.com, the limit is 13 hours. Okay, so let's talk about some of the professional features of this camera. You do have focus peaking, adjustable zebra, and log profiles. I personally don't shoot in log because I value my time, but if you're somebody that's working on maybe a short film or a commercial or something that's really important to you to have every little color detail perfect, you're gonna have that flexibility shooting in log. And there's several different profiles to choose from. Okay, let's talk about what I don't like about this camera. The lens is not threaded, so you cannot use any type of lens filters directly on the camera. Outdoors, I like to use a CPL. You know, I like to make the sky blue. I like to make the colors pop. That's something that you're not gonna have the option. You're not gonna have the ability to put a star filter if you're doing something crazy or abstract, or a pro mist filter if you're looking for a certain look. But the good thing is that this camera does have an electronic ND filter. So you can still shoot at your desired depth of field even when you're outside adjusting to the exposure of the sun. Another thing that I don't like is this camera does not have a headphone jack. Here's another one that just sticks out to me. If you have the camera mounted on a tripod, you're gonna have to dismount the camera from the tripod plate in order to change out the SD card or the battery. So I don't know if I was doing something wrong, or if maybe this is gonna be fixed in a firmware update, but I could not get the camera to run off of USB power. I know that you can plug in a USB cord to charge the battery while the camera is off, but let's say you're shooting a long event and you just want it to run from a power source and not a battery. I couldn't get that to work. Okay, so there's two cameras that are pretty similar to the ZV-1. One of those is the Canon M50, pretty popular camera. One advantage or disadvantage, comparing how you look at it, is that that camera does have a removable lens. For this price point, I almost see that as a drawback, that I have to go out and buy a separate lens, especially something that's gonna compare to the good lens that's on the ZV-1. Also, you've got the 30-minute record limit. So if you're a blogger or you just shoot short form videos, probably not gonna be the end of the world for you, but if you wanna have a camera that you can shoot a live event or anything long form, that 30-minute record limit is gonna stop you. So the other camera is the Panasonic Lumix FZ100. So with that, it does have the fixed lens like the ZV-1, but it does not have any kind of electronic ND filter, so that's gonna limit what you're gonna be able to shoot outside as far as your focal length. It also has the 30-minute record limit, and in my opinion, based off of what I've seen, the lens is inferior to the ZV-1. So in this price range, I would still recommend the ZV-1 over either of those cameras. Who would I recommend this camera to? Pretty much anyone. That's the beauty of it. So the ZV-1's auto features are basic and simple enough, yet powerful enough for a beginner to shoot great video and great pictures. But it also has those features that professionals want, so it's equipped to really handle anything. So whether you're just starting out and you're kind of venturing into more professional video, or let's say maybe you're doing blogs and someday you want to record a live event or something long form, this camera's going to be able to do that. You can start out and shoot video that's 1080 and save memory card space, or if you want to shoot something that's a little more polished, like maybe a short film or a commercial or something, this camera is definitely capable of doing that with 4K video. I hope this gave you a better perspective on the Sony ZV-1. If you like this video, make sure to subscribe to The Sharpshooter. I'm here to help you learn valuable skills to make better videos.